living the past almost 60 years on or near the Whitey Indian Reserve, out in the country, rural community. It provides an opportunity for a lot of experience out there that a lot of other folks that maybe inner city people don't have the same opportunity to be open to these type of experiences. And there was this one experience that I would relay again, something that in this instance my family, my relatives, my mother, my aunts, back in those days when I was just a kid in the Whitey area there was an old wooden building that used to be the Ponca Indian Agency. There was only about 4 houses in that area, and there was another house further down this dirt road where my grandma Mildred Warrior, the late grandma Mildred Warrior, used to live with her family. But you would be lucky in those days to see law enforcement. We only got a county deputy to drive through maybe once a month if you were lucky. Sometimes you might go 2 or 3 months without seeing a K County deputy drive through, but that's the way it was on Indian country back then. And on one particular time, there was this younger deputy who knew some of my aunts, maybe went to school with them, would be the guy to come riding through, and every now and then he would stop and visit with my aunts and what have you. And one of those instances, he asked one of my aunts to go on a ride with him because he was going to ask her a couple questions about the community. So she did. They went riding around the community there, and he said, I'm going to ask you a question, not real important or nothing, but do you guys have somebody around here that trains dogs? And the only kind of dog training going on in that time of the 1960s and early 70s might have been training our dogs to hunt raccoons, coon dogs, and hound dogs, kind of thing. And she said, "Why?" He said, "No. Well, does anybody train circus dogs?" And she was just kind of, circus dogs. I don't know anything about circus dogs. Just regular training them how to hunt coon dogs or chase rabbits or whatever. And she said, "Well, why are you asking about that?" And they were riding by the community, and as everybody knows from the Whitey Reserve, there's a old mission sitting right there by the Methodist Church that goes way back in our tribal history, where way back when our funerals, our body would lay in state there, and family members would bring their own pillows and blankets. And of course, those of you who are familiar with our tribal ways, 4 days, our funerals last for 4 days. The body stays there and lies in wake during those 4 days before we take them to the cemetery and bury them. And that's what that place was used for. Had different uses, but throughout the years, that's what they used it for. And that's what she was telling him. And she said, "Why are you interested in this building right here?" He said, he pulled in and was shining his headlights on the north doors. And young people used to go in there and play basketball and this and that. And he said, "Well, I was driving by the other night and the doors were open a little bit like they are now." And he said, "I thought maybe somebody was in there and was going to look out and wave or whatever." He said, "But nobody came out. And so I just started backing up." He said, "And while the lights were still on the door comes open." He said, "I look up and there is what looked like a police dog, a German Shepherd type looking dog, come walking out. And she didn't think anything, my aunt didn't think anything of that, but he said it came walking out and it was walking on its hind legs. And so that's why I wondered, is there somebody that trains this dog how to do that? And in this particular area of our res and our myths and what have you, when something like that happens, you see something like that, it's not a good thing. It's maybe a bad spirit or something to see something do that. And he said it came out and just walked around the building, and he didn't think nothing of it. Thought somebody trained a dog how to do that. But in our culture, in our tribe, sometimes people talk about those entities that might appear like that. So it's always been taught to us, seeing something like that, it's not a good thing. More taken as a evil presence or evil spirit, so to speak, or whatever. But for a white county police officer to offer that story up to my aunt way back then, it lends some credibility to, being that close to our tribal powwow grounds, which has a lot of history. Aside from being just a place to powwow, there's a lot of history there that we've been told over time. So that's just another one of those stories from way back then.
Weeblaha.